Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Thought Foundation. My name is Owa Ajibola, and we're going to take you on the sections. We've got Olushila and Joy to enlighten us about what we'll be doing now, the ongoing teaching of functional skills and computer session that have to do with security, internet security. That's what we'll be doing. We'll continue with that as well, but we're going to go about it in a different dimension. And let me use this opportunity to quickly tell you about the Thought Foundation. We are dealing basically with the adults in our community that have to do with enlightening people about independence, making them have confidence, and making them productive. You know, all these are done in order to make people of our type have voice in the community. Most people are just indoor. There are some are bedbound, some are in our community, but maybe they are in a care home. We sometimes do outreach to enlighten people about a lot of things going on in the society. Sometimes we do make them come together in a social gathering, you know, to make them interact, relate with others, to bring out the best in them. For those that doesn't have loved ones around them, we deal with the elderly. We may enlighten them about how to use the computer, internet gadgets, and as the case may be. So all this we are doing to make our society, people, adults in the society, live a better life. So I want to say welcome Olushi to this forum again. We've got Natasha too that is volunteering as well. Let's see how we go about this. You start off now while Joy join us later. Thank you, Olushi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. How's everybody? I hope everyone is fine. Today, wait, let me know when everyone can see my screen first, just in case. Yeah. Hope everyone's fine. Have a lovely day.
Yes, try.
Cool. Can you see my screen?
It's coming up, loading.
Okay, so there.
That's it.
Great, thank you. Cool. So today we're going to look at completing a job application and key tips walking through one and key tips. So we've covered a lot of content in the past coming weeks. We looked at personal statements in job applications. What does that include? We've looked at job questions, so like, interview questions. So when you are applying a job, what to look for, tips to look at when you are looking at a job description, how to use that, part of your personal statement, part of your answers that you form in an interview. We also looked at personal statement in trying to further your education. So if it's a course, a degree, apprenticeship, or any way you're trying to further your education in different ways. Again, how to use create a universal personal statement to help you get to those significant avenues you are designed to go to further your education. But now we're just going to look at completing a job application and the key tips in doing one. I've got a short video to show you, and this will basically be the theme that when I'm going through, I'll be referring to, and the importance of your application is good, it's been checked over, is clear, which includes your CV as well. So let me know when everyone can. I'm gonna show the video now. Let me just. Cool. Show sound. Yeah, let me know when everyone can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Yeah, great. And put thumbs up to hear the sound.
What if learning one new coding skill?
Hi everyone, my name is Walker Steck, and I would just like to talk to you guys about the connection between first impression and... No, I'm just kidding. That would be terrible. Hi everyone, as I said up here rather quietly, my name is Walker Steck, and I would like to talk to you guys about the connection between first impression and future relationship. Now, as I just stood up here, as I stood up here holding on to my index cards for dear life, you all did a little something called making a first impression. And it's not your fault. We all, I didn't get the clicker. Sorry, guys. Thank you. Okay, so, as humans, we form 10 to 20 images of what we think a person's personality is like based on 15 seconds of conversation. Now, let's do the math. My bad. Of these 10 to 20 images, let's say we meet 2 new people a day for 7 days a week. That's about 200 new images that we have created of people, just based on 200 seconds of conversation. Now, another fun fact, 85% of these images are going to be just dead wrong, not even in the same ballpark of what the person's personality is like, and only 15% are going to be remotely true of how they act around people. Now, let me tell you about a little personal narrative I wrote, ironically titled Making a First Impression by Maggie Scarf. In the article, Scarf talks about meeting a guy at a bar. The two get to talking, things are going great. A little laughter, give-take conversation, everything you look for in a good first impression. But she slips up. One bad reaction to a joke. She doesn't laugh. And in 1 or 2 seconds of awkward silence, the two have shut down any chance of any sort of connection in the future. Now I know what you're all thinking. Why do I need to hear a story about the girl who doesn't get the guy? And you don't. I'm not here to tell you about everyone's sad story, because I can't. There's too many. I am standing here in front of you today on this TEDx stage to make you aware of how seriously we all take these infamous first impressions. Now, after all these numbers and stories, some of you still might not be 100% sure about what it is I'm trying to say. So let me tell you. I am just asking you to consider my points. The next time you meet someone, ask a few more questions. Stay interested in their answers. Just keep the conversation alive enough so that you're long enough so that you're actually able to form an accurate image of what the person is like. If you jump to conclusions too quickly, you may never know what the relationship could be like. When I was in 8th grade, my discovery teacher, Miss Maggio, once told me, "Walker, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take." Now, I found this quote to be rather relevant to the situation, so I took a little spin on it myself. You end every friendship you don't start. Good, bad?
I'll stop there. But most of this video is talking about first impressions. In the beginning of the video, he spoke about how just in 15 to 20 seconds in 15 seconds, you already create 10 to 20 images of that person's personality. And that's the first impression that you get just by having a 15-second conversation. 20 images are we get 20 images by just in 1 week if you do speak to many, many people, just based on 15 seconds of that conversation. So when we are looking at job applications and we are looking at CVs, you only have a shot to try and make sure that you've done everything that is clear and is concise. And when we do look at what we need is needed and key tips for personal statements, CVs, and job applications, it's so important that we go through and check all of these things, because when employers are looking at application, that's the only thing they got. Your CV, your personal statement, this is their first impression of you. So you want to make sure that you don't make any little errors, or we're going to go through things to keep note when you are making job applications. So you give a good impression, going through the application, making sure you've responded to everything. There's no spelling mistakes. Your email is correct. There's a lot of these small things that we neglect, but it shows the first impression to employer. They didn't care enough to check over your spellings. They didn't care enough to check the errors, mistakes. And these are the first impressions that we get from a personal statement by going to furthering your education. They only get 4,000 characters, and you need to give a good impression. So we come into contact with different interactions in our lives, and we don't even know that we give impressions by the way we dress, the way we walk, our body language, and this was all This is in all areas of our life. But today we're going to look at applications, and we'll cross-reference the things that we've covered, like personal statements and CVs, and how important it is to check through your applications and making sure that we're going through it correctly. Everything is, we've gone through the checklist that I will refer to during the session. But yeah, that is the video, what the video is trying to say about how important it is to give a good impression. Even if it's a 15 second that you have, people has already created 10 to 20 images based on that 15-second conversation, or even look at an application. If they see one error, mistake, what in the first sentence, they're not going to continue looking at the rest of it, because again, it's about first impression. So anybody have any questions about the video? It will be on the PowerPoint if those who didn't get the beginning can check through it, and it's being recorded. But does anybody have any questions about that before I continue the session? No? Cool. Let me just go back to share the screen. So cool. So we are looking at completing a job application, and I'm just going to go through the key tips that I think most of us actually may disregard or don't think is as important, but it can give a good impression when you are going through your job application. So the first one is first contact, first impression, which is what the video is based on. When you are submitting a job application, a personal statement, and you need a cover letter or a CV, this is the first contact that your potential employer has of you. So it's better to make the best impression before you even get to an interview. They really get a feel from you, from your application, from your CV, from your personal statement. So it's very, very crucial that we've gone through the right steps, several important steps, to make sure when you are completing a job application, you are given a good impression. Knowing what to write, what the hiring manager is looking for, will help you submit an application that gets you an interview. So the first one, as much as everyone knows, we'll go through our application, we submit it once and we send. To read over, especially when it's a job that we're looking for, to read over your job application. And what do I mean by reading over? Is it what I've done? Or is it me, submitting my CV, writing, am I Miss, Mr. or MS, or am I this is my name? No, we're looking at in general, looking at the job description. When you are applying a job, and we looked at this in our personal statement lesson, about when we are looking for a job, how do I write a personal statement for my CV? You're looking at, okay, cool, scan the job description. What are you applying for? What are they looking for? When you've scanned the description of what the employer or you're looking for, that they're looking for, you then use that to then reflect it in your CV, reflect it on how you are. So for example, they're looking for someone that's energetic and organized. You can use that and use that in the key terms. We'll look at keywords, but use that in your CV, use that in your application to show that, yes, I'm very, very enthusiastic. I read further in this area. I'm organized, and this is why I organize training for boys between 7 to 10 every Saturdays to show how organized I am. So again, it's about scanning job descriptions to show, okay, cool. Am I here kneeling the point of what exactly they're looking for? Okay, am I really, this application, does it show that this is the kind of client that or candidate they want in their role or in their company? Again, any little mistake, spelling mistake, error, anything that is not professional, inappropriate, they don't have time to go through your whole application or your whole personal statement. And even though the rest of 90% could be amazing, but the 10% you'd be in the beginning, that's all they see. Next person. They have thousands and thousands of applications they go through. So it's very, very important that when we are looking for it, we're reading over it, and we'll make sure we're scanning that we have the credentials, we have the skills, and we align to the job description they're asking us. But yeah, that's one of the key steps. Next one is professional name and email. And this is something that a lot of people don't actually realize. And it's quite strict from employees anyway to penalize you for your name and your email address. But what do I mean by this? So a professional job application calls for professional email address. So some employers might even disqualify an applicant for having unprofessional email, even if the rest of their resume shows that they have a perfect job. Okay, so for example, if I'm trying to apply for a job and my name is called sallysexy28976yahoo.co.uk, again, does that tell you, is that professional? Does that have a professional email? If I'm trying to apply for a nursing agency, or try to even send it to a university, and your email is sallysexy2897776 at yahoo.co.uk, It's not a professional email. And sometimes you have a perfect CV, perfect application, but then again, I would advise even from this, or for example, here it says billygoatsx231@gmail.com. I send you an application. Again, the email, it's about first impression. This is the email that we're receiving. Again, it's not a professional email. It's very, very unprofessional. This is the first impression that employers get. So it's very important that we're professional and using professional names. So our first name, so Miss, for example, for me, Miss Alicia Cody, stating it very, very professionally in every way throughout the beginning to the end of the process. So these are things to note down, that making sure that I would advise creating a separate professional email and having your own personal email that could be for shopping, for social media. Like that's a personal email, and then you have a work email, which some of us probably do because they require it in our jobs. But you having a professional email to apply for stuff is very important. But yeah, if you need to create a professional email, you may want to use a free email service to create email, as your huge email, Hotmail, Outlook, and so forth. And then use your first and second name, and then probably just one number, or depending on the keys you want to use. But I would just say this is a very big thing that I didn't even realize until I read a lot about it. And even somebody who's a recruiter, they said the amount of emails they receive from, they even think they're hackers because of how unprofessional the email is. It's like, who is this person? And even as an employer, it's like, are you trying to take this job seriously just by the email that you send by? So it's very, very important that we look at these small things, because again, some people will be like, why did I get this job? Why didn't they get back to me? I'm not saying that you're not credible, but these are things that key tips to be aware of when you are applying for jobs. To make sure that you're using professional names and using professional email addresses. So when we are looking at emails and how to write emails, we said we have to make sure it's professional. We are using proper English and we're using and addressing properly. But yeah, anybody have any questions about this one? And this one is obviously, the examples I put on the board is a extravagant, like it was quite far-fetched, isn't it? But this is just an example of how this is unprofessional email. But most emails are fine. It's just some of them are very extreme. Cool. Follow instructions. So even this one, I think there was a data that 45% of people fail following instructions during job applications. So when they have a lot of fields about 4 paragraphs to complete sentences, I'm using yes or no, so that you can answer in-depth questions and be like, okay, cool. Are you a UK resident? Yes or no? Have you had any crime, been evicted of any crimes? Yes or no? As simple as it is, 42% of people get those questions wrong because they're not reading it properly. So it's again, when I was reading and obviously researching about this, these are the silly mistakes that people make and during their job application. And it's not giving a good impression. They're making silly mistakes when they're calling you. Oh, so you're not a UK resident? So yeah, I am. I'm UK, I was born here. But then in your job application, you wrote no. So it's like you didn't take enough time to really go through your application. Take time, or even if you may made it, because it's a small error. That's why you check over it. We get somebody else to check over your job application for you. So just make sure that this is correct, because you can make silly mistakes. And again, it's about first impression. This is the only thing they get from you before they consider you for your interview. So regardless of what specific questions require, make sure that you're answering them correctly. Read the questions a couple of times and make sure you understand them. I know many of us have done job applications, so we are already, this is just, again, no new news to your ears, but it's just something to consider because we sometimes forget that and forget these kind of tips whilst we are applying for jobs. So take care while filling out information that demonstrates to your employer that you are a worthy candidate, you've invested time researching the company. When they're asking you some longer sentence answers, you've done your research to show that you are invested, you are interested, and you're enthusiastic about the company, you really want to work there, and that's the impression that you want to give off to your employer. Tailoring your cover to the job. So this is something, again, about when I speak about personal statement. But cover letter, we're going to be looking at, because we haven't actually done cover letter, and that's something I'm going to look at once I was planning this slide. So I was like, oh, we haven't done cover letter, and I think that'll be very important for us to go through it. What is a cover letter? But I will only mention it briefly here, but we'll go in depth about it in our next session. But cover letters, some jobs may require you to write a cover letter in addition to the application. So the application is giving you some questions to know your details, to verify your identity and your CV. But they may also say, do you know what, we would like to cover letter as well. So a cover letter is a one-page document you send with your resume, with your CV, that provides additional information about your skills and experiences to your job that you're pursuing. It's typically like 3 to 4 short sentences, short paragraphs. And a cover letter is important because it serves you, again, the first chance for your recruiter to see your qualifications and make a good fit for the position. So when you have a CV, most of our CVs are 1 page long. You cannot say everything in our CV. You just write the key things, the key experiences, the key skills to identify that we have the credentials, and we have the qualifications, we have the experience. But sometimes a cover letter gives you the opportunity to actually say, do you know what, plus my application, plus my CV, this is now an extra bonus to show that this is the kind of person I am. It gives a real sense to the employee, the kind of person you are. You know, they can really get a good first impression from you. So before writing and editing your cover letter, again, the main thing I always stress about is looking at the job description, making sure that when you are writing cover letters, personal statements, when you are doing your job application, you're looking at the job description, because that's what the employers are paying attention to. If they said they want somebody that's organized, somebody that works under pressure, and they are caring, and then you're writing about how you don't work under pressure, you haven't done any under pressure work experience, you are a leader, you are different skills, which are also good. However, it's not aligning to what they want. They want someone that's good at organization skills, someone who has clear communication, somebody who has demonstrated a leader, but then you're talking about your team member, but they're looking for someone who has leadership. No one's saying that leadership team member is not bad, it's a good skill, but they're looking for somebody with leadership role. So you want to make sure that you are tailoring the job description to your CV, to your personal statement, and to your cover letter. The job description has information about, again, required educational experiences, what personality fits this position, and thinking, okay, does my personality fit this position? And skill sets that they prefer a candidate to possess. And environments like job fairs require you to repeatedly give the same documents to multiple companies. However, if you're applying to a specific job in person or online, you want to tailor the cover letter. So another thing is, even me, I've learned it the hard way when I was applying to like a training contract. So I'm applying for training contracts to work in a law firm. And when my first round of applying, because I've done it, this is my second round now. First round, I would just make a lovely cover letter, make sure it's checked, got, my mentor and, other people to check in. It was fantastic, lovely. But I just kept sending the same thing to different law firms. And I just thought, yeah, it's good, they're going to take it, but it's not. To them, they can tell that this person is doing in-depth research. They can tell that this is too generic for me to be sending to everyone, because it shows that I didn't do my research. Well, I did in the application, but in the cover letter, I said, you know what, I've done so much effort in the application, I can just give him this cover letter, which is good. It's got me jobs, it's got me internships, but I can just use it. However, it wasn't specific for that company. So sometimes when we have good cover letters, sometimes they may ask us for a cover letter, you make sure that it's specific to the job. Your CV is generic because that's your CV of everything you've done. Job application is, again, generic. This is the chance for you to show that you're interested in this particular company. Why are you applying to Sainsbury's? Why is it not Tesco? Why is it not Asda? Why is it not Morrison? Why Sainsbury's? And that's what they want. They want to get that from you, from your cover letter. So it's very, very important when you are trying to write one or edit one, make sure it's specifically, you can show that you're interested in this job, that you want this job, nothing else, not generic. I've learned that the hard way. So keywords, again, it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but keywords, when they're reviewing the description, when they're looking for, looking through CV, looking through job applications, I remember when one of my professors, when he was working with recruitment for people who are joining firms, they look at keywords. They have thousands and thousands and thousands of people they look for, and they're just looking for keywords in your CV. Keywords that, okay, organization, teamwork, communication, this. They look at the keywords, and they do this specifically in their job application. They don't just write job application just so we know what the job is about, which they do. But they do it in particular because this is what they're looking for. If they're looking for somebody who is into nursing, but then you are, I don't know, in a different field, they're looking for just nurses. They're looking for particular things. And they need you to make sure you stand that out in your resume. Keywords. You have to write the fanciest letters, fanciest sentences or paragraphs. They're looking for key description, key words to show that this is what they're looking for. And it shows that, again, that you are capable and you're fulfilling the job requirements that they're demanding. So again, you get highlighted amongst the many because these are keywords they're looking for. Oh, can you hear me, by the way? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I just saw the chat that I think Florence says she can't hear me. But that was quite a while ago. Sorry. Cool. So, yes, checking your responses for errors, spelling mistakes. Again, I did recommend before Grammarly and Quillbot. So Grammarly, you can download it on your phone, your iPad, your laptop. And when you are writing emails, when you're writing anything you're writing, there's like a green G called Grammarly that will help you correct any misspellings or any grammatical errors in your day-to-day life. So even if you're sending WhatsApp messages or emails, you have a Grammarly on your phone or your laptop, you can use that to correct your grammar. Quillbot is for example, if you've written a sentence but it's not clear or you want to make sure it's a bit more concise, you copy and paste it to Quillbot, and then it concises. It basically concises your sentences and it makes it sound a bit more clearer. So those are the two things I recommend, Grammarly and Quillbot. I will at the end show you those two websites. But again, these are things you should use to check your resume, check your applications. Spelling mistake, if you don't start with a capital letter or something, again, these little mistakes is giving a bad impression to the employer. They didn't even spend time to check over and just, correct a capital T or a full stop, or, they spelled something wrong. If you spend a bit more time in the application, you would have corrected it. And that's the impression that employers get when they see silly mistakes in their application. Like, this person, did they even want to work here? 5 minutes to just check your work and correct your errors and mistakes. That's all it could have taken. Most jobs require basic communication skills. So when you're not putting effort in correcting your spellings and correcting your grammar, they're just saying, you clearly don't have clear communication skills because the basic grammar and spellings is incorrect in your CV. So it's very, very important that making sure that you're checking through this. And I will show you in the beginning or at the end of our session, Grammarly and Quillbot to download on your phone, your iPad, and on your laptop. So just check to help you, even when sometimes I'm typing really, really fast, Grammarly will help me out, and any misspellings I said I was writing, it will correct me. So it's good for everyone to have on their phones and laptops, especially if you're using emails in your day-to-day very, very regularly. It's good to have that there. Tidy your social media profiles. So we're in a modern era where, employers look at your profile. They may find you on Facebook, they may find you on Instagram, they may find you in different social medias. So we're not saying that, if you've gone to Morocco and you with your family and you can't post that on your social platform, you can. They just want to make sure that it's tidy, that is formal, that is not anything inappropriate or go against their values, for example. And this is when when I've had a good discussion with employers, when I'm working with firms, I'm like, what do you tend to advise about social media profiles? And they will say there's mostly the advice for it to be private, or if you're using your social media for businesses and business opportunities, then that's understandable. But just making sure that your social media is tidy, because they do look at this, and particularly they look at LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is like a professional hub for professional social hub. So it's a platform that employers use to check and look at your credentials, because again, LinkedIn, you have a profile, you have a picture, and you have all your experiences and things that you're looking for. If you're looking for a role or looking for a job, LinkedIn is quite the platform. They're not going to come and stalk you and find you on Twitter or on Instagram, but they tend to look at your LinkedIn account, because that's it's a professional social media platform, and that's what they look at sometimes in your job applications. So don't worry, they're not going to go and find you on WhatsApp or Instagram. They tend to look at your LinkedIn accounts, depending on the type of role. So if it's a social media role, they're going to look at your social media. If it's like a quite sophisticated role, like nursing, law, or finance, or customer service or something, they're going to look at LinkedIn, or some of them don't even look at all. but this is something to note just in case. We're in a very modern era. So if you're going viral on TikTok or Instagram about something, just know they could have seen it. So just making sure that you're making sure your social media is tidy.
Got a question, Oluchi.
Yeah, sure.
So if you're not on LinkedIn, for example, are you at any disadvantage when you apply for jobs?
No, you're not at any disadvantage, no, because your LinkedIn is basically like LinkedIn is to help you. Employees is just a visual representation of your CV. That's what LinkedIn is for them. If how you interact with different companies, if you interact with their company at all, what kind of person, like what things you like or interested in. That's what LinkedIn is. It benefits you and them. It just them just look at it, they just skim around what have you done, and that's all in your CV anyway. But I do, recommend people to be on LinkedIn because a lot of opportunities arise corporate or it's more of like I call it the Instagram of corporate Instagram, the social platform for like jobs and sophisticated discussions. So I do recommend if you're looking for roles or you're interested in a different career, join on LinkedIn. It's quite a professional platform that employees use instead.
Is it
So, yeah.
possible for people to get headhunted from LinkedIn because you've got your professional, like your profile and everything there? Would organizations or companies actually go on LinkedIn to find suitable employees?
Yeah, that's what LinkedIn is about. So LinkedIn.
All right, okay.
You I don't know, you put a post but you're looking for a particular role, and the reason why a lot of people are encouraged to go on LinkedIn is because it's very accessible. So all you have to do is connect with the people. There's a lot of people, for example, Rihanna Fenty. For example, let's say you want to do makeup, you want to be working in the company. There are a lot of Fenty ambassadors on LinkedIn that you can connect to and you can speak to. So it's a networking event, networking platform. You meet a lot of people in different sectors. So a lot of people have got roles from LinkedIn. That's why it's like a visual representation of your CV, because people then say, okay, let me look at this person's CV and say, okay, she's done this, and that. She's looking for this role. You can offer it, or do you know what? Come in and see this is what you'd like to do. So I think, if you are looking for a role or you're trying to network, because again, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And LinkedIn is a very good platform for that. So yeah, everyone should have LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very good platform, especially when they do anything with a career change, or looking for opportunities. That's a professional way of doing it. But yeah, anybody have any questions about LinkedIn? If that's something that anyone's interested, we can do a lesson on how to build a profile, what to include, and key tips about LinkedIn. That's something that I'm happy to do in our next session.
I think that might be helpful. I don't know about the people.
No worries. Yeah, I'll keep that noted, and I will definitely be going through it. Yeah. Yeah, cool. And then last thing before I hand it over is review submitting. So again, this is reinforcing that. Make sure you review, and before you are submitting an application, make sure you are satisfied and you've done your best. You've checked over it. You've got somebody else to check it just in case. And yeah, this is quick going over a few and key tips about job applications. If any have any questions about any of the things that we've spoken about, we've kind of spoken about a lot of things. Anybody have any questions? Even about the email as well. Some people may ask me, is my email okay? Because it has four numbers. Is that okay? But yes, just to make sure, I don't want to get anyone. Again, this is just a extreme version of emails that are not as professional. You can use numbers, it's very, very fine. Just extreme versions that are not professional. But yeah. Anybody have any questions at all? Or who are pending to do a job application and want to check over because they really want this particular role, just let us know. But yeah, if everyone is happy with it, I wouldn't mind doing a session about LinkedIn because I think it's quite helpful and not a lot of people know about it. So but yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Anybody have any questions? No?
Do we have any questions? Any question for Oluchi? Okay, there is no question. That means we've digested this very well and we'll be able to apply for a job very easily since Oluchi have made justice to it. Just to remind Oluchi, there's someone that I've booked for 1-to-1 for the personal statement.
Okay.
I'm yet to think of how to go about the slot, so I'll let you know about that
Okay, cool. No
later.
worries.
Yeah. If you don't have any question, probably you're going to test me, or because filling an application and getting it right is not something that is easy, because you are eager to get the job. So we don't want to take it for granted. Mostly when you pass through this section, it's something we have to work hand in hand with. And if there is any of you that really want to go for any job as of maybe a current job now, this is an opportunity for you to utilize Oluchi, because she's there for us. She will help us guide us towards it. And I'm sure that job will be for us, you know. And she talks about LinkedIn. That's a very good platform, you know. I remember I registered with them halfway. A lot of people keep sending me messages that's like-minded co-job seeker or companies, you know. But I just stopped because I didn't finish the application. So I think it's a good platform. I will work on that. And apart from that, Oluchi, you can treat a section that just like what Joy was asking for, so that those people that's interested, it doesn't mean it's a high professional rank. I have to say this. It could be for any other jobs, you know. Yeah. And mostly what is good about that linking, you have like-minded people you can rub mind with, you know. There is this connection forum that you'll be involved in. So let's try to utilize it. You know, thank you very much, Oluchi. I know you are trying to run away. You have another session.
No worries, no worries.
Okay.
No, I'm happy to help.
Okay, good. And let's use the opportunity to invite Joy to tell us what we've got on board. You ready for us? Joy, are you sleeping?
Oh, sorry.
Wake up, wake up.
I was trying to unmute. Sorry. Good evening.
Why is your face so bright like this? I really don't understand. What's going on?
Okay, face is bright.
What cream are you using? Didn't you notice that, Oluchi? What cream are you using? There's something
your face is glowing. Your skin is glowing.
Exactly.
I wanted to use makeup. My daughter said, "No, don't use makeup. You're beautiful just the way you are." Like,
Exactly. Tell me about it.
I'll just go and put on a lippy.
You are just okay. So fire on. The floor is open for you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Oluchi. That was great. I'm just going to share my screen now. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. And thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your willingness to learn every Friday together. So yeah, today we're going to be looking at the 10 most common types of frauds that so a lot of them we know about, but it's more of like a reminder or just looking into its more details. Some of them we might not have come across, or we might have heard about it, but probably haven't experienced it. So we look at it together as always. So if you have any experience or any questions, you know, you can always interrupt me at any time. Or if you have any contributions, actually, I would like that. I don't want to be the only person talking. So if we can look at this together, because it's a topic that affects everybody, as long as you're online, as long as you probably got a smart device, and especially in this digital age, it's difficult to avoid it, but we can minimize the risk of, you know, falling into the hands of these fraudsters or even becoming a victim. And the knowledge is not just for ourselves, it's also so that we can share with our networks, our family, our young children, we can guide them, because if we don't know how to keep ourselves safe, how can we then, you know, support our young children, even as parents, or even our partners or other people around us that are not so, you know, technologically savvy. So the knowledge is not just for you, it's also for you to be able to impact on others. So 10 most common frauds. Let's look at it. So what is fraud? I know this is really basic. We all know what fraud is, even if we can't define it. We know what it is because it's a terminology that we've come across, over the years. It's been around for a very long time. It didn't just start now from the creation of man, I would say. Yeah, fraud has been taking place. It's just, with advancement in technology, it now comes in different forms, different format, different patterns that you're probably not aware of. So fraud is when someone uses deception for personal or financial gain. So the key word in this definition, it's very basic, simple definition. We all understand it. I don't even need to break it down. The key word is the deception, because the motive behind their action is to deceive you, is to trick you. So the key word here is deception. So whatever they're doing, there's an ulterior motive behind it, either for, personal gain or selfish interest, or to hurt the other person. Okay, so that's what fraud is when someone uses deception, when someone is deceitful for either their personal or financial gain. So the first type of fraud or scam that we're going to look at today is imposter scams. Okay, so imposter scams involve someone misrepresenting themselves. So basically what they're doing is pretending to be someone they're not. They're pretending to be A when in fact they're B. They're pretending to be genuine when in fact they are fake or not their authentic self. So the imposter doesn't have to be an individual. It might even be like a group of people. It might be an organization. It might be a company. So it's basically misrepresenting themselves. And this take the form of either romance scams, we know about that, phone calls or texts, from Social Security, it could be from law enforcement, it could be from your family in distress and in need of cash very quickly. We are very, very used to that. I'm not even going to go into that. I'm sure, quite a lot of us have experienced that, where we get, this random message or notification from somebody who's in distress. And there's this urgency, for us to help, or there's this urgency from the side of the person, from the imposter, to get something out of us. So that's the most popular type of scams that we're aware of. Somebody pretending to be what they're not. And it could be an organization, actually. So it is also when they practice a healthy, The other point talks about what we can do to protect ourselves. It's what you and I can do to avoid, the risk of becoming a victim of these imposters. And it's to practice a healthy skepticism. And what does that mean? It's to be always curious. Like children, especially toddlers, with their young and innocent mind, they question everything. Sometimes you have to be like children in that respect. Question everything. You have to probe everything. You have to be curious. You have to be cautious. You have to analyze the information that the person is giving to you. You don't just take everything for face value, because whatever they're saying to you might seem genuine, but if you have a little bit of time to probably analyze it or look at it more critically, you could find out that there is actually some gaps in that information that they're passing across to you. So have a healthy skepticism. Don't be too, so when they say healthy, don't take it to the extreme. Like maybe your family member sends you a message and you're questioning it. You're questioning everything that everyone sends to you. No. So you can actually stress yourself by doing that. And you might never really get anywhere by being over analytical. Okay. It's like being an investigative journalist. So not in that way, but like you go with your gut instincts, the kind of messages, and it depends from maybe somebody you haven't heard from in years, 5, 10 years, and suddenly they crop on your phone and they're trying to, start up a conversation with you, and they're trying to catch up, and suddenly the conversation goes the other way, So those are the kind of things that you have every right to be curious about and be very skeptical about. So it's not just your everyday communication with, your friends. And of course, some of these imposters, like we've already established, they pretend to be somebody they're not. So they might actually be operating from somebody's phone. Maybe they might have hacked into somebody's phone, one of your contacts. So the phone's from one of your contacts. So it might seem genuine, but if it's somebody that you're communicating with every now and then, every other day or so, it's very easy for you to verify this kind of information. So yeah, having a healthy skepticism whenever you get a distressed call, and take a moment, don't rush. We're always in a hurry. We're in a hurry to go to work. We're in a hurry to fill the form. We're in a hurry to answer that phone call. People are always on the go, they're very quick, fastest fingers on their buttons. Before you know it, they get this pop-up. Before you know, they've accepted, they've clicked into it. No, take a moment and double check to see if the person you're in contact with is legitimate. That's all it takes, and it's not rocket science. You don't have to do anything too complicated to do that verification. It could be something as simple as ending that conversation and just basically giving them a call to speak with them directly. Because of course you can recognize their voice, you can tell whether somebody's lying and all that. So yeah, take a moment, be skeptical, take a moment, be patient. Don't be too quick to act. Don't be too quick to click. Don't be too quick, to respond, basically. Okay. So the second point we're going to be looking at is online shopping scams. And this come by way of you sometimes having, or shall I put it this way? This is when sometimes fake retail sites somehow crops up on your phone, or you've searched for something very specific, and something that's a website that's a very close imitation to what you're actually looking for comes up on your phone. Okay, so online shopping scam could be from fake retail sites. And it's fake because they've tried to imitate the original site. But if you look at it very closely, if you look at the URL on the website very closely, you can tell that there would be a slight difference. There will be like a slight spelling mistake. It's not a mistake, it's deliberate. And that's what differentiates them from the real website. So sometimes these online shopping scams can also be embedded in fake adverts. So you might go into actually the real website, but in that real website, sometimes there will be ads, fake ads. Some of them are genuine, but then it's a mixture. There might be fake adverts, popping up, and that's embedded in those real websites, especially from social media platforms. So we do know that there's a lot of adverts going on social media platforms. So you're there genuinely for one thing, but something keeps popping up, and you're tempted to probably, go into it and see what's all about. So, or you can actually get scammed through that. And also fake reviews. So for example, it might be a genuinely honest website, retail site. The problem is that, because like most of us, before you do anything, you genuinely want to look at the reviews. I think it's a new generation thing now. That's the way forward, because you haven't seen the item, you don't know about the service, you're actually just taking, a risk by trying to purchase that item or service from that particular company. And the only way you can actually verify the authenticity of maybe the information they've put in or the kind of service that they've advertised on their website is for you to go to the reviews. As popular as, some of all these big websites, I don't want to mention names, there's a lot of reviews. I still personally go onto the reviews to see what people have said about it, what the experience is, and that helps shape whether I'm going to go ahead to purchase that product or not. So some websites actually have fake reviews, and that's all just to draw in, you know, new customers. So they get people to give good reviews, good feedback, right? Fantastic, lovely, you know, flamboyant things about their services so that people can, you know, purchase it. But then when you actually go ahead and find out, it's not actually what they've advertised. It's not as they have advertised it. So when you're looking at online scamming, think outside of the box. It's not just about the fake retail sites. Yes, that's one of it. It's not just the fake ads as well. Again, it's also the reviews. Okay. So for example, if you're shopping for a holiday, because obviously summer is getting to summer period, a lot of people will be looking out maybe family holidays and things like that. I would say if you're going on the website or you're going on a particular resort or hotel, go for the ones that have got quite a lot of reviews. If you've got 2 hotels, one of them have got over 2,000 reviews, I mean, it's going to be very rare for them to be able to organize that amount of reviews, for them to be able to fake that amount of reviews. But if you've got fewer reviews, I'm not saying that they're all fake, but you know, I would personally go with the one that's got most reviews, because you might have more varied opinion from different people. So how do we protect ourselves from online shopping scams? So like I said before, check for a URL starting with HTTPS. We're very, very familiar with that, and closed padlock icon. You also need to pay attention to the methods of payment, such as your credit card, and also make sure that it includes consumer protection. So for example, if you're not too sure, you can, if they have the option of, say, for example, maybe PayPal, I would personally go with PayPal because I know that my funds, my money is protected. So you go for credit cards that has consumer protection if you're not 100% sure, because that way, if anything happens, they'll be able to refund your money, hopefully. And then also be skeptical about reviews. We've talked about that. Be curious about the reviews. If all the reviews seem so flamboyant, so good, there's not even one negative, be skeptical about it. I'm not saying it's not possible, but yeah, just be a little bit more curious. And then check warranties and return policies for ordering. So some websites you can order, they have good stuff, but their return is actually rubbish. And because you're buying online, sizing may vary, colors may vary, the item itself might be slightly varied from what has been advertised online. So any online shopping, no matter how much you try and do your investigation, you try and read the description, you try and read the reviews, it's still a risk. So before you do any purchases, check the warranties, check whether they've got good return policies. Are they going to charge you any extortionate amount for returns or not? You know, that for me personally, I look at that a lot. That would determine whether I'm going to take the risk to buy that product or that item or not. Okay, so let's all be careful about online shopping scams. It's happening, it's still happening up until this very moment. So the next one we're going to look at is prize, sweepstakes, and lottery scams. So this one is very interesting because it always starts up as good news. It starts up as, you know, how shall I put it? It starts off as, you know, an exciting news. It's something good and everyone will naturally jump at it because it's an exciting news. It's a good news. And it always starts with a prize, but with a catch. Usually there's a prize to it without people or their audience realizing that there is a catch to it. There is another side to it. So they tell you that, oh, you've won this, or click on this. If you do X, Y, Z, you would have the opportunity to maybe have a free laptop, or there's one that normally goes around and BA is giving a discount for, I don't know, tickets and so on and so forth. A lot of them are fake. but they actually start off with, you know, good news. It starts off as something really good, like you've won a lottery, you've just won yourself £20 gift card, you know, and you've won yourself this prize. But then again, when you investigate it further down the line, there is usually a catch to it. And then they will give you conditions. You have to do this for you to be able to get that. There is always conditions. It's never, ever straightforward. So how do we protect ourselves? Ignore any emails that says you've won a foreign lottery. Yeah, because if you didn't enter into any foreign lottery, how come out of everyone in the world, you were fished out? So I mean, you could be lucky for that to happen to you, but again, like they say, you have to be in it to win it. If you haven't actually applied for it, you haven't actually looked at it, sometimes these things it crops up on your email or on your phone because maybe you might have done one or two search relating to that topic, or that's a particular keyword. And as soon as you do that, then they start sending you other materials or the information that you haven't quite necessarily, you know, requested for, that you're not expecting to receive. And that draws your attention. So they have a very clever way of doing these things, that when you search on something, later on, few days down the line, they use their cookies to then sell you promotional materials or information. So that's how they know about it. So ignore any email. Don't even bother. We do get that quite often with text messages, and sometimes, sorry, not text, WhatsApp messages, and sometimes they go viral. If you send, they could give you conditions like, if you send this email or this information to 20 people, or I don't know, 30 people, or maybe to 5 groups, then you'll be entitled to receive a laptop, or you would be entered into a draw that allows you to win something usually valuable, you know. So yeah, ignore any emails, any messages of such, because if you didn't, like the next point, if you didn't enter a contest in the first place, know that you didn't win it. So it's just really clear cut. Sometimes we go into these things because of our eagerness, our desires to maybe, I don't know, make it, or maybe sometimes it could be even greed, or sometimes our curiosity, you know. So yeah, if you haven't applied, just ignore. So real sweepstakes are free by chance and almost always require you to enter a win. So that's everything that I've been talking about in the last minute or so. So if you're going to win anything, you really need to enter into it. You would have deliberately, consciously, and proactively made that step to enter into that draw or competition. So you can't just win something out of the blue. Even the lottery, you still have to do something. You have to play. It's either maybe you've got it set up automatically with your bank, or you're actively going to the shops to pay or to buy the lottery tickets, or you're buying it online. So you would have initiated that move before you can even win anything. So if peradventure you have actually, you're in the habit, I don't want to say habit, but you like, it's something you enjoy, you do play these things frequently, then obviously you have to be more cautious because you have actually entered into them. But whether you've won it or not is another matter, and you would need to take extra steps to verify whether you've actually won any of the draws or the prizes. So yes, let's be careful about that one, and be careful of, you know, sharing these emails and these messages as well on WhatsApp. Because although you might know what to do, you might be very cautious. Obviously, you've heard about stories, you've heard about victims who have, you know, fallen for these scammers, but the person you're sending it to might not be aware. They might not be as clued up as you are. They might be very vulnerable to online or attacks or online scammers. So if you receive them, you can ignore them, or perhaps just even delete them out of your phone rather than sending them out, because you never know who's going to fall a victim, and you don't want somebody to fall a victim because of you, because you've sent them something that you shouldn't have even bothered, acting upon in the first place. All right. So the next point is about internet service scams. So this is one of the common types of frauds that we have, and it usually comes through an offer of tech support. So sometimes you get a warning that a virus has just been detected on your computer. I get that all the time. I get messages that says that my security protection has just expired. Even when I haven't set up any anyway, or I wasn't aware that there was any setup on that device, you get all these different pop-ups on your devices about your computer. And if you're not really clued up, sometimes you might be tempted to click on it, and usually they demand that you follow a link to help you eradicate it. So by you doing that, what is their goal? What is the goal of them sending you that pop-up? What are they trying to achieve? The goal is to gain access into your computer, and we all know the reason for that, because on our personal computer, we have, a lot of us store personal details, we store financial information, we even store some of our health information. And the whole point of of them asking you to click into, that's, I don't know, malware that they've, or maybe pop-up that they've sent to you, is for them to install a malware into your computers. Is you giving them access into your space, into your online space, into your online personal space. It's them invading your online, privacy and space. So, but they can't just do that out of the blue. And we've mentioned that over and over again in our previous sessions, that scammers often need our cooperation. They need our action, they need our inputs for them to be able to, have access to our information, for them to be able to succeed, if at all, at scamming us. So if you've seen something that you're not sure about in your system or in your device, rather than just, clicking into it, ignore it, and then you can give it to somebody. You can take your device to somebody who knows what they're talking about, who might be able to help you and be able to advise you on what to do about it. If it's a work device, then all well and good. Your IT system will be able to give you, advice or direction on what to do about it. So often with the tech support, it's usually to have access to your personal information. It's usually so that they can install a spy app or malware on your device and monitor your online activity and have access to your online activities, your banking and everything like that, which we all know could be really, really detrimental if that happens. Because sometimes, when you lose money and details, money in particular, you might not be able to get it back. And with your personal information, that's even worse, because once it's gone, it's gone. They might have shared it, they might have been using it elsewhere around the world, who knows? So how do we protect ourselves? You should be the one initiating all calls. So if you have any issues, any problems whatsoever with your device, it's so slow, it keeps loading, you keep having all these pop-ups at the bottom, you can access certain websites, they keep telling you that you need to install this, install that. That's fine. We don't need to panic. We need to be the one initiating all the calls to the right people. And you keep your computer and virus protection up to date. So for some of us that already have this protection in place, just make sure it's up to date. Sometimes you might have like yearly subscription, sometimes it's 2-3 years. Make sure you have that up to date. Okay, and seek help from experts. Don't assume that, you know, you can't do this on your own, especially if you're not 100% sure. Does anyone have any questions so far before we move on? No? Okay. So now let's look at job opportunity scams. So I know some people are looking at this and thinking, how does this work? Yes, it does work. I remember sharing a story on this platform, I think sometime last month or so, one of our sessions, about somebody I know very close. She got a job. She applied for an online job. She got the job. It was apparently supposed to be for like an international company. It was with HR. And she applied and she was shortlisted, right? And then she did the interview and was successful, thankfully. And then after they've offered her the job, it was time for them to do the checks. So then they told her that, oh, there was a certain certificate that she's supposed to have, or license she was supposed to have that she didn't have. And she needs to pay for, she needed to pay for these certificate or to have this course or something like that. And she was like, I've got a master's degree in HR. And if I've got the master's, that overrides that level 4 course or that you're really referring to. And they argued about it back and forth, and they said she needed to pay about £300. So that actually put her off because she wasn't happy to pay that. She was even going to negotiate with them to say, you know what, can you fund this? And then when I start working with you, you can deduct the amount from my wages, maybe instrumentally over a period of time. But after a while, when she didn't hear from them, she then went online and did a research and tried to actually look up on this particular company, and they didn't exist. They didn't have a website. The address they had on the job advert was a residential address. It was just completely fake, but initially it seemed so genuine. It seemed so authentic. So yeah, it happens. So business and job scams collect information or money from you, often for jobs that do not exist, exactly like this scenario I've just described. They were going to collect money from her for a job that didn't exist, for a certification that they're not even going to provide. This was just to get the money out of her. And if she had paid that money, that would have been the end of it. So what they do is that they request money upfront for training or equipment. In some other cases, they might say, oh, we need to purchase your uniforms that you're going to be using. So you might think that, oh, actually, you know, that makes sense. That's reasonable. Although maybe something in you might tell you, oh, why can't they provide that? But again, they use all sorts of methods, all sorts of scams and tricks to get money out of people. So they request personal. So it's not just money. When they start requesting personal identifiable details upfront, such as your driving license and your national insurance number, then you should know that there's something really suspicious about this company. So they've probably shortlisted you for the job interview. And before that, they're asking you for, can we see your passport? Can you send us this? Can you send us that? No, I'm not even going to send them my reference at that stage, especially when I know that I haven't actually gotten the job, let alone, you know, any personal information that I have. So yeah, so it's not only money that they might try and scam you off through, you know, these fraudulent job offers. They could also, one of the motive is to also get your personal information, so people can then, you know, use, I don't know what they use it for, but identity theft, basically. They can use it to commit crime. Surely they're not obtaining this information for any good. So they could use it to commit crime. They could impersonate the person. Who knows? So we need to be very careful of that. And then it has you doing suspicious work or pays you with a fake check. Yeah, so this is interesting. So with this one, you get a job, and everything seemed fine. And especially with this era where there's a lot of online working, and you could be working with a company that's based maybe in Dubai or based abroad. So there's no physical office, right? So that makes it even easier for them. And then you do this online work for them. And in the end, you get paid with a fake check. Can you imagine that? So that's how far, that's the length to which some people, some fraudsters can go. So they make you do all the work. And remember, you might go into this work with the intention of probably getting a monthly wage. So you might have delivered a month's worth of job to this organization. And at the end of the month, realize that they've sent you a fake check, or they haven't sent you a check, or you're just basically chasing your money. It's not coming forth. And they start giving all sorts of flimsy excuses about, or the HR, or about the bank accounts, and so on and so forth. They're all fraudsters. It was intentional from the start. So we should avoid, organizations like that. We just need to be very aware that it's not just the money that they want to collect from you upfront. It could be, your details, and also it could be that they want to use you, use your experience, use your expertise, and use your time and everything, and then for nothing, you get nothing for it at the end. So how do we protect ourselves? You check your sources. So again, you've applied for this job, or even before you apply for the job, go and see whether they've got genuine websites. Find out, maybe give them a call, send them emails, do your research, online search for the company, the hiring manager, and sometimes even type the word scam or complain or review to see whether anything comes up. And then don't skip the interview stage, take your time and pay nothing. So for some of these organizations, they might shortlist you and tell you that you're so good. We're very confident in what you've written in your CV, the way you filled out the form, you're what we're looking for. I don't think that there's any need for us to interview you. It's all scam, because you know why? They can't actually organize the interview. They would need to be very, very, good, very organized to be able to fake an interview. And it does happen. In the case of my friend, she had an online interview. But for some of them, they want to skip this stage just in case they get caught out at that stage. So what we're being advised is that don't skip the interview. Ask for one. Don't see it as a bonus, especially if you're already skeptical, if you're already thinking that there's something fishy, not quite right about this job or about the company, or about the whole thing. Go for the interview, then take your time. Don't rush into it. They're going to be rushing you to start this job. It might sound like a good thing, but take your time. And then finally, pay nothing. Pay absolutely nothing. I don't see where you pay to get a job. You apply for the job because you need to be paid yourself. So I don't know why I should be paying anybody, to get a job. So if any company or any person suggests you paying anything, just always question it and refrain from sending out any money to them. Okay. Right. Does anybody have any question, or shall I fire on? Okay. Okay. All right. I'll just carry on. So we've got a cell phone service scam. So these scams involve a criminal using your SIM card or a clone to port your phone number to one controlled by the criminal. So basically, they're going to clone your phone number. Have you noticed that sometimes you might even get a call that seems genuine? They try to clone the number of maybe a very reputable organization or government department. So this will also mean that the text messages sent by the financial institution to verify your identity would now go on to criminals. So basically, any information, like when your bank sends you, they can send you maybe notification, maybe text messages about some services in your account or that they're offering. Basically, anything that anyone sends to you will be seen will be seen by those people, the scammers who's cloned your phone. So that's another way that they can do that. We've already talked about it before. I'm not going to hammer on this too much, because we experience that when sometimes your WhatsApp gets hacked, and then you get, like I've already said, you get, I don't know, a message or a call from somebody who's pretending to be who they're not. Okay, so that's how it happens. They clone your number, they hack your phone. How do we protect ourselves? Get a PIN or password. Sorry about that. Get a PIN. I'm just gonna mute my phone. Get a PIN or password. It's just an extra step to protect yourself. So get a PIN for your WhatsApp. We talked about this before. If you don't have one, do set one up. Some people with some phones or devices, you can even have like a fingerprint on your WhatsApp or some of the applications that you have on your phone. So do make sure you have that. There's different options. If you're not happy to use PIN, say maybe you're going to forget or it's a bit long, you could use your fingerprint, you could use your Face ID, you could use patterns on your phone. So we have all those measures for a reason. We just need to take advantage of them. And then how do you protect yourself? Again, you enable email and text notification of changes in your accounts. So for example, I have an account that each time I log into that account is an international account. Each time I ever log into that account, I get an email notification. Initially, I thought, you know what, that's a bit extreme. That's, you know, quite overprotective. But just thinking about this now, it kind of makes sense, because if somebody has cloned your phone and they're trying to log into your account from wherever they are in the world, you're going to get an email notification. You're going to get a text notification. Somehow you're going to be informed of it. So that alerts you and you can take action really quickly. Okay. So it's also good to set up those notifications. I know that sometimes they can be a little bit annoying because they keep popping up at the top of your phone, or maybe you're thinking about battery life. But if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's quite reasonable and it makes sense. It's all for safety. And also Netflix. So that's another typical example. Again, with Netflix, I've had like 2 occasions. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but for the benefit of those people that are not, that were not here when I mentioned this, I've had 2 occasions where somebody's tried to log into my Netflix. Actually, they had logged onto my Netflix and was using my Netflix, and I was notified of this via an email. So all I needed to do was to sign out of Netflix, change my password, and it was fine afterwards. And that's only possible because Netflix already have this email notification set up with, I think, majority of their customers. So it's good in that way because you're alerted to it. There's no way I would have been able to know about somebody trying to log into my Netflix in India or America. In this case, I believe it was in America. So that was really good. So the next kind of scam is investment scam. I don't know whether anybody has fallen a victim of this. So this is quite common in various parts of the world. In some African countries, we have them, they call it Ponzi, I don't know, they call it plan well, whatever it is. I don't know the terminology, the different terminology that they use for this, but this is quite popular. I personally, I'm not going to lie, I've been a victim of it because you get introduced to different kind of, offer. They tell you that, if you invest in this, then you get like monthly returns, or after a certain period of time, you build these funds for yourself and so on and so forth, but nothing really ever comes out of it. So basically what it is that it offers victims secrets to getting big returns with little risk in the financial or real estate markets. And that's not true. There's always a risk. Sometimes the risks are quite huge. They're quite substantial, but the way it's been sold to us, it gives you the impression like it's a very easy ride in the park. It's open for everyone. Everyone can have a share of this national cake, you know, and they make it really tempting for you to resist, basically. And many of them start off with a free seminar. So when they try and sell this to you, they would try and run a seminar, a free seminar that you can attend, where they can sell the idea to you in more details. And then they would have people to give testimonies about how they've been in that business, how they've invested this and how they've got that in return, and how their life has been changed. I mean, yes, it's all well and good, but none of us can really verify this information. This is just somebody coming up to say that they've done X, Y, and Z. So it seemed really convincing when you've got real people like yourself going through real struggles, like you and I, coming out to say that I've moved from A to D because I've improved and progressed because I've done this and this thing. So it's very convincing, and it's easy for people to fall scam. I'm not saying that they're not genuine business or financial investments opportunities, but we just have to be careful, because a lot of us want easy money. We just want somewhere where we can invest something and then get like 1,000% return on it. It doesn't really work like that. Some of us fall into, you know, these kind of scams because of our greed, and because, to be honest, we're just unreasonable, you know, and our expectations are so high. The expectations to get so much out of it is so high, but you've given so little, you know, and you want to get, you know, everything. Those people that have even made it in those businesses, they probably invested quite a lot of learning, quite a lot of, I don't know, resources, quite a lot of time. They've sacrificed and compromised on family relationship just to get to where they are. And you're being sold this idea thinking that you can just dump the money there, sit in your house, and you get the returns. No, there's quite a number of times, a lot of work to do around it, but people don't take it seriously. And then that's how they feel like they've been scammed. Yeah, so how do we protect ourselves? Do your own research and verify any claims. So any information that's been passed over to you, go online. Google is free for all. It's free for everyone. And there's a lot of information out there. And if they've really had the easy secret to making millions. Okay, so basically, if these people who are selling these investment ideas to you feel like there's easy secrets to make millions, they should be out there making even more, because human wants are insatiable. I'm sure we learned that in economics, that, you know, even if you've got, I don't know how much money you've got, there's still that desire to make more. You know, we're never really satisfied. So they really should be out there making more money while they're trying to get the little that you have invested into that particular business. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but let's just be really, really critical about these online investment scams. A lot of people have fallen victim of it. And yeah, it can be really detrimental. Do we have any questions? Has anybody had any experience about this before, or am I the only one who's been adventurous over the years? Any contributions before we finish up on the last? I think we have 2 or 3 more. Okay, so we'll just continue. Yeah, so I'm going to come back to everyone, and you're going to tell me, just before we finish the last 2, what I want everyone to do, if possible, is we would go around and you would tell me what was the most recent experience of scam you've experienced, or you have heard about, either from a close family or by yourself. Okay, I'm sure we've all had 1 or 2. Every now and then something pops up on your phone So yeah, I'd like to hear it. So let's start thinking about that for the next few minutes while I just finish off on the points. So the next most common scam is vacation and timeshare scam. So timeshare scam, I'm not sure if a lot of people know about this. This was quite new to me as well. So it's a scheme where you're given the opportunity to buy like a unit of a real estate for a period of time. You're only allowed to buy a fraction of it for a period of time. So this is usually either maybe abroad, say you usually like going to Spain, you could buy a fraction of a property where you can access it for a certain number of times a year. And that's what they call timeshare. Timeshares. So that's timeshare, but there is a scam that's also attached to it. So for example, you could purchase like 1 month of that real estate. And 1 month means that you buy 1/12 ownership. Can you imagine that? This is news to me. This is information to me. You buy 1/12 of that property. So in a year, you have 1 month access to that property in a year. That's fantastic. It might work for some people. I don't really understand it that much, but you know, it might make business sense for people who are probably using that scheme. So there is a scam attached to that. So they include, and usually because it's quite legal and technical, there will usually be like, you know, guarantees and things that you have to agree on. So the way this scam work is that they will include like false guarantee that you'll be able to do what you're hoping to do and that you make money or at least lose less. These can also include buying foreign timeshares or property. So basically they sell you this idea thinking that, oh, actually you might be able to even, you know, give it out to holiday makers. They rent the place for such and such period of time, or you can do XYZ with these without probably even reading the small print. But then again, when it comes to you maybe backing out, or maybe, I don't know, changing or looking at the terms and conditions in more details, you find out that it's not really what they say it is. So we just need to be aware of that. It's not a very common one because it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it does exist. It's called timeshare. So how do we protect ourselves? So some of the biggest timeshare scams come when you or someone else tries to get rid of the timeshare. So you want to check out that agreement, and then they start telling you, you know, some flimsy stories or telling you things that you're probably not aware of that's been written in the small print, or probably not even in the small print, but you just find out that you're trapped. You can't get out of it. So be sure to understand how your timeshare agreement works. Just like when you're buying a house or buying a property or buying something very, very valuable, read the small prints, ask questions, ask somebody, maybe get a broker to break it down for you so that you understand it in layman terms and you know what you're going into. You understand what you're going into before you actually make that decision to go into it. And that you also know how to exit a plan if you decide to do so. Also know whether a timeshare will be inherited, which is quite important, which could be a financial burden, because if they can't inherit it, then, I mean, if the person is no longer there, what then happens to that property, that timeshare agreement? So it's just something for us to think about in case, you know, somebody comes up and wants to sell that kind of ideas to us. We should all be aware of it. So fake check scams. So these scams involve someone sending you a check with a request to be a mystery shopper, to buy gift cards or to send some of the cash overseas, for example. So the way this works, that somebody sends you a fake check scam, and then they pretend that, oh, they've actually overpaid you. So the amount that they're supposed to pay you has been exceeded in that check. So let's say they're supposed to maybe pay me £150, and then they send me £450, apparently in error. Now this me thinking that, oh, right, okay, I've gotten this £450, and then you take it to the bank to deposit the check. So now that with the check, it takes a few days. And then the person then contacts you and say, oh, actually, sorry, there was a mistake with that check. It was 450 rather than 150 pounds. Can you please refund me my 300 pounds? But bear in mind, you've already paid that check into the bank. That check is a fake check. It's going to bounce at some point, but initially, the bank is not going to detect that because it takes a few days before the check would clear. But in your account, you can probably see that the check is going through. It seems like it's going through. So if you're not patient, or if you're not, I don't know, if you're not curious, or if you don't detect this problem, you might be quick enough to send them the 300 pounds. And then maybe a few days down the line, the bank can come back to you to say this check is actually fake and we can't process it. But by then you would have already sent them the 300 pounds and that would have been the end of it. So yeah, this is another kind of, this is a new one to me, honestly. I didn't know about, it's quite creative, actually. I don't know what circumstances, this would be, but I imagine that it might be, I don't know, maybe a company that you've done business with. Probably it's a fraudulent company, but their form of scam is through maybe issuing fake checks. Okay, so we just need to be very vigilant of these kind of companies. So how do you protect yourself? Accept checks only from people or businesses you know and trust, and never cash a check for more than you expected payment for. Exactly, because that's what I was thinking in my head. So if I was expecting a check of 150 pounds and then it sends me 450, I must have been greedy to send that check to the bank. I should have called the business or the person to say, there must be a mistake here or something. Do you want to send me the correct amount or something like that? I know these scammers, they're very clever. They might say, oh, it's okay. You can send it to me later. It's all right. Just let it go through. It will be easier. It will be, because it's going to take time for me to then send it to the post and all that. So they always come up with all these clever ideas, but just keep your antennas up all the time, just in case. So summary, just to summarize, scammers always prey on our fears, on our vulnerabilities, and sometimes our desire for a great deal or more money. And that's the truth. So we all have these, a lot of people, I wouldn't say all, I wouldn't generalize, but a lot of us want to do well. We want to make it, we want to progress, and we do have quite a lot of needs, either from your immediate family or extended family. So there's that desire to actually improve your circumstances, your financial circumstances. And it's not a bad thing. It's just when it gets too desperate, then you become vulnerable and you just fall for anything that lands on your desk or any idea that's been sold to you, because you have that strong desire to, to make it, to be successful. So scammers prey on that desire, that passion that we have. They prey on it, they prey on our fears. For some people, it's that fear of failing. So therefore, when we have the opportunity presented to us, we don't want to, in a way, miss that opportunity, because sometimes you think, oh, it's a lifetime opportunity. I might as well, you never know. I might not have this chance. I might not have this opportunity. Let me just, make the move, take the risk now. Life itself is a risk, I understand, but we just need to, check it, put everything to check. Okay, so the hallmark of a scam is urgency. So that's the technique they actually use. If you can't read any of the sign at all, just actually question the urgency in which these criminals are using to kind of push you and make you to do what you don't want to do. It's always now, it's always immediately. I remember when I had a phone call from somebody who pretended to be my mobile phone provider. And, I was playing along because I actually thought it was genuine. But then, it was like, can I have this? Can I have that? It was so rushed. The conversation was rushed. The information just kept flowing. I felt overwhelmed with the information. The options he gave to me were quite a lot. I even found it very difficult to make a decision as to which mobile phone contract I wanted to go on to. There was this sense of urgency. So always question it when, they're saying we need it now. If you don't do it now, you miss the offer, you miss the promotion that's going on. It's only for 24 hours promotion. Question it. These promotions, they run all year round. Gone are those days where I used to think, oh, I have to take advantage of this sale opportunity. Forget it. There's a sale opportunity today. Come next week, that's another one. There will be another sale from another company. So don't be in a hurry. So in addition to losing money, victims may also lose personal data, which could make them vulnerable to identity theft or medical identity theft. In this way, the care you take in revealing personal information and accounts numbers can go a long way in protecting you. So it's up to you. It's your personal responsibility to make sure that you don't reveal or divulge personal information about yourself to others. You don't reveal it that easily unless you're 100% sure. If for any reason you have any doubt in your mind, go with your gut instinct, go with it and be patient. So it's your responsibility. And, like we've already identified, the repercussions, they're quite serious. People lose their life savings, people go into debts as a result of this. People become, miserable, depressed as a result of the experience, because you have to then live with it afterwards. And yeah, it could just lead to one thing to another. So we need to be careful. And if you believe you may have engaged with a fraudster, be sure to report it as quickly as possible. So if you've been a victim of fraud, there is always a medium, a channel to report these things. Because the more reports you make, the more the organizations are able to do something about it. They have statistical data that they can use to hopefully formulate plans and, things in place that can protect people more. We can learn from that experience. And sometimes they might be able to, if it's your money or I don't know what's been lost, they might be able to retrieve it. So you never know. Always do report it if you ever find yourself in that situation. Hopefully not. Okay. So that's the end of the session. Any question? So like I said, I just want people to, if you can, that would be great. It might just be, one or two sentences. If you can just tell me what's the most recent fraud alert you've had, either for your personal self or somebody very close to you. Does anybody want to start? I have a personal experience recently, but because I've been talking, I'm going to use this opportunity to have a break and just listen to my wonderful audience. So does anybody, you can do me a favor and maybe call out names if you want to. I'm sure we've all experienced it.
Okay, let me start with my humble self.
Yeah.
The HMR website, the scammers they've succeeded in using HMR. I know most people might have received that as well. They keep sending you message that they are going to charge you because there is a tax that you didn't pay and all that. With that, you get panic and you'll be thinking, what's the next stage? I don't want, hey, Sharon, no. I don't want the Queen's problem. You know what that is? Everybody's saying, I do not want the Queen's problem, So that can sort of forcefully push you to the, to do what you were not thinking of doing that. You can just go in and make some payments of some a certain amount to the link they've sent to you, But when I received that, I was, I said, what? You want to scam me? No way.
You immediately
recognize back to sender. You know that word?
Absolutely.
That popular word.
Well done.
I checked it very well. as the way they were sending it to me, they send it to a friend. The friend called me. I was saying, oh, look, I have gotten this. They said there is money for me. No, HMRO. They said there is a, what do they call it? You know, when they give over
Rebates.
Rebates, you know,
Yes.
you have rebates, so. I said, let me see. Send it to me. I said, that's fake. He said, no, it's true. I want to click on it. I said, don't click. I was screaming that if anything happened to you, don't come back to me. I will not discuss this. He said, no, it is true. She started clicking, but it gets to a particular situation, is like set stage. She was feeling a little bit, no, this is
Easy.
not
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
This is not true. You know, I said, you know what? If you want to get it right, call HMRO. Give them the code or whatever they've sent to you, and let's see if it is correct. Then she did. I sent her the HRO number. She did call. And at the same time, they said there's nothing like that. You don't have any rebates. You are a dreamer.
Yes. Nothing is coming to you.
I am telling you. So that is my most recent one. You know, they'll be calling different calling. But once I know what it is, I said, this scam is coming. You know what? I'm going to block this number. I block. And that's it. It's just when it is greed that normally make us to fall victim. Greed. You know, when you know where they are, everybody needs money. But when you know where they are coming from, you have to think twice and say, this is too good to be true. You know, let's have that at the back of our mind, you know, or in front of our mind. It is too good to be true.
Yeah, true.
Let's see if any other person have got a similar or another experience.
Yeah, just before you do that, that's a typical example of how a government organization number can be cloned. And that's exactly what they've just done. Yeah, pretending to be a government organization, a reputable organization. Yeah, because that gets you to react quickly. You respect that authority and you don't want to get into trouble. So there's that anxiety. You immediately get that adrenaline rush, you know, to act or to do something. But yeah, you did the right thing and you gave the right advice as well. Also speak, if you're not sure, speak to somebody, get a second opinion. Exactly. And she did the right thing by checking up with you. If she hadn't had that second opinion, she probably would have, you know, I don't know, fallen victim. So even though initially she was still curious to click on the link, but at some point, because you already challenged that's what's it called, the link and that's request, she had that doubt.
Yes.
She couldn't go through with it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who's going next?
Who do we have here? Florence. Florence said she was not hearing us. I don't know. Maybe by now she should be. She's been on. Florence, you have anything to say? Let's share. Amina, are you there? Any experience concerning fraud? Even from a friend or the message they've sent to you? I know Martha, she talked about something like that one time. Amina, are you there? Can you hear me now?
I'm here, ma.
Okay.
I can hear you very well.
Good. Do you want to contribute?
Not now, ma.
Not now. Oh, you don't have any experience or the friends one, the one you've heard from colleagues or so? None?
Yes, ma.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. Let's see. Is that right, Amina? Let's see if we've got Martha. Can you talk from where you are? Martha is not there.
Sorry, I'm here. I'm just trying. My phone is playing out. Not really. I can't really talk. I'm just getting ready for work. I'm almost late.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Who else there? Florence, are you there? It seems everybody, they've traveled. Okay. Is that right? Probably if they have any opinion later, they can share with us. It's not bad. We are here to rub minds together. And that's it. Is that are you done, Joy?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining in. This is not this is a section that will rub our mind. There is no you know it all. We all are all learning. I will continue to learn. And let's join us again. Let's be here again next section, same time next week on Friday like this. And if you have any question concerning this, please always ask, call, text, any other form you want, email me, any other form you want to do that. Try to check our social media so that you'll be able to get pre-recorded and the section, maybe the one you miss. And apart from that, some people actually called in that they will not be attending today. Please, 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 I've recorded this. I'm going to share it to them. But if you click on our link, even if you miss out anything in this section, you should be able to catch up with what we've been talking about here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Oluchi. Hope to see you again next week. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, everybody. Martha, Mary
Thank
Jane, Anamina,
Thank you,
Florence.
everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye.
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 Good evening.